All right, so we'll get started. So if you've not joined us before, this is part of a series of like how to use the design thinking process to actually work on a product, and then we are on the prototype stage. So from the name of the name on ADP list, it says this is the prototype part 3. So I intend this session to be the last session of the series. If you've not joined us before, the previous sessions are uploaded onto YouTube. I'll share the link onto YouTube so you can catch up. But today we are basically delving into actually designing the user interfaces and like how to actually build the user interfaces. So the previous session we had was on wireframing. Basically, we didn't quite complete it, but I've gone ahead to complete it, and then so like basically we would cover everything. We'll talk about it not extensively, but basically everything will be quite intuitive so you can understand the process. So to not waste time, I'll jump right into it. So yeah. So it will be like me designing, and then you can ask questions, and then we've developed the application flow already. So basically going through the application flow, we would skip some of them, the ones that are quite easy to understand. Like we'll skip them, and then it will be quite interesting. And then please draw my attention if I do something you do not quite understand. Just draw my attention to it. Yeah, so let me jump right into it. So we'll go through the splash, then the authentication, sign in, sign up. We'll do that to start with. All right. So we'll create a new screen over here and a new page and call that user interface design. Middle. All right. So yeah, we'll create. So there's that. Did someone drop something? Yeah. Yes, Irony. There are previous sessions. I'll drop the YouTube to that so you can check it out. They uploaded them to YouTube. They are quite lengthy though, but like it's good stuff. So yeah, jumping right into it, would create a frame. So if we've already talked about this, but if you do not know what a frame is the artboard that holds the design. So like basically the screen basically the screen type. So we'll take an iPhone 11 because that's like I think one of the most common for iPhones. It's the same as the X. All the iPhones have the same dimensions, so this works best. So to jump right into it, we would create the splash screen from here. So the splash screen, and then if you do not know what we are designing, so this. Let me share the workspace that I'm using. Oh no, this. Not this. 1 second. Share. Copy link. Yeah. So I'm sharing the Figma file, so you can basically see everything. So we have slides and things in there that you can actually view too. Like if you do not want to watch the YouTube channel, you do not want to watch the videos, you can just read the slides. The stuff we have on YouTube are basically me talking about the stuff in the slides, just maybe expanding on them a little bit. But all of the slides are in there. So for every session that we had slides for them. So empathizing, defining, ideation, all the way through. So what we are working on now is the user interface. So jumping into it. Because this is so the problem you're trying to solve. Let me talk about the problem you're trying to solve, so there's context to what we are building basically. Where's the problem? Where's this? Yeah, so our problem statement is Kofi is a small business owner who needs a system to track and remind clients of impending debt payment deadlines, because clients sometimes forget to make payments on time. So this is the problem statement. This should be quite intuitive to understand basically what you're trying to build. We are basically trying to build a system to help small business owners track and remind clients of impending debt payments deadlines, because clients sometimes forget to make payments on time. So basically trying to track your people who owe you, basically trying to track that. Yeah. Wait, let me make sure this stuff is recorded. Yo, is this recorded? Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. I'm sorry, my voice is scratchy. It makes me sound like Transformers sometimes. So, pardon me if it gets scratchy. I'd have to clear my throat a little bit. So, yeah. So yeah, jumping right into it. So we already have something like a color palette from from the slides that we have. So you can just go through it. You see everything. Yeah. So 1 second. Let me give one person access so that the person can control the people joining. Let me text Gilbert. 1 second, guys, please. All right. Sorry about that. I needed to give like somebody access so they can control it, so that I do not interfere with. I do not go and come back like to admit people onto the button. So yeah, jumping right into it. Yeah. So you would use the logo from here. So the community logo, basically. Yeah. Oh shit. Oh bad. So we'll use the community logo. Yeah, so like a splash screen, basically, the reason why we design splash screens are the reason why we design splash screens is to give the application time to load, and then the other thing is to basically what's the word? To give the application time to load. Basically, that's the reason why you design splash screens, and to make sure that to confirm that when somebody clicks on this application, this is the application that is loading. So it's basically like a confirmation, and then giving the application time to load. That is why I design splash screens. So it does not need to be anything fancy, because if you make it fancy, that means there's a lot of the phone will need to think to actually make that happen, and so you want to keep it as minimal as possible. That's why a lot of applications just have a background color with the logo of the thing that you're trying to do, basically. So yeah, so now that we have the splash screen, the next thing we want to do is the intro stuff, right? So the intro stuff, majority of the time is just like to introduce the person to the application. So like for first time users, you want to tell the person like what the application does, basically. So we'll do that now. First of all, let's do this instead. Let's add a grid. So when you add a grid, it helps you to place. 1 second. Yes. All right. So it helps you to create like guides you. It serves as a guide, basically, to place your content. So for designing mobile applications, majority of the time I like to use 6, and then for web we use 12. The reason why it's advisable to use either 6 and 12 is because they are easily divisible by 2. So if you use a number like 5, that means if you want to divide by 2, you would get in a value like 2.5. If you use a value like 4, you can divide it into only 2 equal parts easily. But if you use a value like 6, then you can divide it into 2, you can divide it into 3, you can get 1, 1, 1. So like when you use 6, that means you can get more numbers. So like that is the logic into choosing the layout grid. People might design them quite differently, I'm not sure. Yeah, but like, and then I set the margin to 24. I personally do not like it when it's red, so I just like to change it to this. All right, so jumping right into it. would we'll try to add the text. Let me see. What's the text? Track. So let's just take some information like, and then the typeface I'm using is called TT Norm Pro. You can add it if you want to. I like it because it looks good. Yeah. So TT Norm Pro. So this to automatic, and then like something like a descriptive text. Track. What will be the text? Track all your debt payments. Again, this is bad copywriting, but we just want something like a placeholder text. So track all your debt payments and remind. Okay, let's just use track all your debt payments. Let's just hit debts. Yeah, track all your debts. And then we want to use something like bold. Then we want to get like some lorem ipsum text. You can use this plugin if you want. Now, one paragraph is a lot, so we'll try to cut down. Let me just change this. And again, please, if you do not understand anything, please draw my attention to it. Like, so again, we are trying to create the introductory, the thing that introduces you to the application, basically. Yeah. Let's increase this a little bit. So 14. So we'll try to add 8 to that. So let's say 22. Okay. So the reason why I added 8 is majority of the time when you have text, the line height. So majority of the time when you add 8 to it, it gives it breathing room. But there's a whole science behind line height, and then you might want to look into that, like pay attention to like the relationship between the font size and then the line height, and then the spacing between them. You want to pay attention to that. So I cannot get into that because it's a quite lengthy thing. It's not something that is straight. It takes a while to figure out. So yeah, but for the sake of that, like for the sake of speed, we would want to do that. Let's just increase that. Let's just say we are adding 8 to it, and then we'll just say continue over here. Now with the continue over here, we would want to make this auto layout, but it's not visible here. So we use the shortcut with like Shift A. So Shift A would make it an auto layout, and then we'll center it, and then we can just expand this. Now, auto layouts are like, I don't know how to explain auto layouts. Auto layouts are like a really cool way of handling stuff. Basically, it makes it feel like you're actually writing code, because when you're designing something, it's built like in blocks. So using auto layouts, you are able to replicate that block style. And then because you're able to replicate the block style, it makes your design quite easy to be built, and then it makes things faster. So like you would understand soon. For the colors, I've already gone ahead to select some of the colors that we'll be using. So we'll fill this, and then we'll do that, and then we would make the buttons a little bit more prominent. All right. So and then we would want to how you call it. So prior to this, I was practicing this, so we can speed up the time. So we'll put an asset over here, like so. And let's center these, because should we center these? Let's make this so 24. Yeah, let's make this. Yeah, and then give this border. So another thing about you should keep in mind is pair the Apple Human Interaction Guidelines and Google's Material Design Guidelines. The font buttons should be at least 48 pixels wide. High. So here it should be 48 pixels high. So That is because like the reason why that is because of your thumb size. Like the average size of the thumb, the buttons need to be quite huge to actually click on them for primary buttons. But you realize for certain buttons you won't get the opportunity to make it 48. But whenever you have the opportunity, try to make your button size at least 48 pixels tall. There might be situations where you might want to change that, but until we get to that situation, we are keeping our button size to at least 48 pixels tall. Yeah. And then we will add a little bit of border radius over here. Yeah. So this is what we have at the moment. We might want to add something, I don't know, but like moving on. So we basically have this. We will want to create another one where it's like where maybe this thing changes. Maybe you see for some applications they have like multiple introductory text. So track all your debt payments, notify all your clients, notify all your debtors. All right, and then we can center these. This should just be centered over here. And then because now because this is in front and this is at the back, then that means there becomes two options. You can either go back to view what was in the past, or you can go forward to view what is next. So how do we do that? We can just oh wait, somebody's here. Oh my bad. Admit all. Alright, yeah. So we can just do this and then let's copy this and then paste this. Now if we copy this too and then we make this an auto layer. Wait, what the hell is happening? Oh my bad, sorry guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay, maybe use the size of this. Oh shit. Yeah. So now just to make sure everything is in line, one button would be a primary and one would be the secondary. And so you always, whenever you have buttons on your screen, you want to make the primary function the most prominent one and then the secondary function the least prominent one. So what can we do about that? We can either choose to go with a lighter color. So let's just say we'll go with a lighter shade of this to make it less obstruct, like to make it easier for the person to track what function they're trying to perform. Right. So let's come here and then yeah. So yeah, previous. Next. All right. So now this is what we have. It's looking good, right? Another thing we might want to do is we might want to include a stepper. So like not a stepper, like something to keep track of how many of these things do we actually have to go through. Do we need a skip button? So if this is more than 3, it would actually most likely need a skip button. So we would want to put maybe a skip button somewhere like so. Again, you want to include a skip button because maybe somebody has already seen all of these and then they just don't care about it anymore. So again, bringing the grid back, you just put a skip button over here, and we want to maybe have like a stepper to indicate like maybe this is like 1 of 4 or something like that, you know, that kind of thing. So just 1 of 3. We don't want to draw too much attention to that, so yeah, let's put this in the middle here. All right. Please, if you don't understand anything, please draw my attention to it. All right. Now we might want to include so if you come down here, if you come to the assets, you see I've added that asset over here. So I have 2 assets. We used this one to create the wireframe, and then we are using this one to create the actual interface. So this is Apple's what do you even call them? Their UI kit, Apple's UI kit. So you can just take stuff from here, so you do not have to come and design their nav bar, and then like you do not have to do the things that are native to Apple's interface. So we just come here. Again, you can just So because you're designing for iPhone X and above, these are the ones for iPhone X and above. If you were to be designing for something less than an iPhone X, this is for iPhone 6 all the way to iPhone SE. Right. So we are taking the plain one for iPhone X and above. It's down in the assets, and so yeah. So we can now come and paste that over here. All right. So we'll just align center and then push that to the top. To the top. Yeah. Now, me personally, people keep this bar over here. But this is supposed to be the part of the screen you do not see. It pisses me off. I don't know why. So I'll just go ahead to delete it and then change this to white. iOS has this thing where they are able to do their own contrast checking and then check whether the things are actually aligned, get the right color that works. That is iOS's business, not my business. So I'll just go into it and then change it to white to get the best contrast that I want. All right. And then the cool thing is, when you add this, you immediately know something called the safe area. So the safe area is basically the space in which you can actually design. So you see on your iPhone or whatever device you have, there's the bottom navigation, and then there's the top where there's the date and then the time. It's always the same. It's based on the device that you're using. That is none of your business. And so the system prevents you from actually designing or building your system to touch those points. Right. So even when you're building in iOS, or when you're using Swift or Flutter or whatever, there's safe area. There's the space in which you can work in. So when you add this component is up to iOS standard, and so immediately you add it, you know the safe area. You know your design cannot cross this line over here. All right. So moving on. The next thing we want to do is the authentication, whether the person has to sign in or sign up or whatever. All right. So we would add that now. Yeah. All right. So we can go ahead to delete this, delete that. Again, and then if you notice, I'm trying to reuse as many components as possible. Let me mute my device. All right. So yeah. Moving on, I'm trying to reuse as many components as possible. So let's just make this two things. So let's try to reuse this two, right? So now we'll move right here and what would be the best thing to so another cool thing is there's this platform called mobin.com, right? So with Mobin, it basically has screenshots of majority of the popular applications, and then you can just go. So if for instance, let me try to find an application that is quite popular. Okay, so let's say Quora, right? It has screenshots of Quora, every screen in Quora. So you can come here, instead of actually downloading Quora, you can just come here and then to actually search on the platform you need to pay. But somebody taught me if you Google the platform and then add Mobin, say maybe you wanted Uber's platform, Uber's interface, you would just come Uber and then add Mobin to it, and then automatically it takes you to Uber's site. But if you're on the actual platform, it prevents you from actually doing that. They want you to pay before you can search, but if you Google it, you can just get access to it directly. So yeah, that's something cool. Somebody from the on the call actually taught me, from the design sessions. Somebody actually taught me that. So yeah, that's something really cool. So basically we are trying to find what Uber is using for their okay, so Uber doesn't have anything of sorts. So let's just go ahead and then say welcome to what's the app? So let's just say XID. All right, and then this is gonna be let's get started. All right, so Let's just check the spacing between these two things, because the straight line, let's set this to 24 as well, and this to 14, and then we can check the spacing between the two. Let's set that to 16. Let's get started. All right, so right now what we want to do is we want to create the like sign-in options, right? So do we want like social media sign-ups, that kind of thing? So we'll just say maybe continue with Google. All right, then maybe the next one will be someone trying to join the call. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, cool. So continue with Google, then we can drag continue with Apple. And then maybe let's add another one, say continue with Twitter. Alright, so let's make this component so we can control the spacing between them and then set that to 12. And then let's see the spacing between these two. So if you pay attention to the spreadsheet I'm using like, it's almost like they are I don't know whether they are square numbers or multiples. I don't know, because they are not multiples. They are selected values. So like there's 2, there's 4, there's 8, there's 12, there's 16. So basically I think they are multiples of 2, but like basically it gives the design like something called vertical rhythm, where like things look like they are in place, nothing feels out of place. So yeah, if you pay attention, you notice that is I'm using that style to keep the design looking good, basically. So let's get started, and then we would want to add another option for people who are signing up with their email address. So we can do already wait, I want to use your own email address. How do you want to use it? Again, I'm not very good with copyrights, so use your own email address. And then we would want to say maybe login, and then this would be sign up. All right, so just per the UX, the principles that I know, majority of people use these options to sign into accounts, and then there's this relation between things that are most used being at the bottom of the screen. So I'll switch the position of this two. All right, so I'll just do this and then do this. All right, let's and then say or, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let me do that again. Or, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. There's usually almost always some legal stuff that goes at the bottom of the screen. Let me see. I think I wrote some of that thing somewhere. Let's just go and copy something from somewhere. I don't know. Let's see what Cora has. Cora says, by continuing, you indicate that you agree with Cora's terms of service and privacy policy. So let's continuing. You agree with XID's terms of service and privacy policy. Alright, this is like minimal information. Yes, kind of like almost useless information. So let's make it small. Alright, so Yeah, there's this. We set that to 16. Yeah. Yeah, I think I designed something to put inside this thing. Yeah. Yo, select for fuck's sake. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay, let me just push this to the back. Oh, select. Jesus Christ. Okay. Thanks, Ernie. I hope I'm mentioning your name correctly. Why is this behaving like this? Yeah, Botswana. Good. Yeah. So now we can move on. So now we can work on some of the input fields. So we would do for, because all of these, their input style basically is Google handles all of that thing. So we would design the login page and then we would jump to actually designing the home because you're trying to complete this. All right. So it would basically be like a repetition of ideas basically. So now what we want to do is we want to clear all of this. Okay, not necessarily, not clear all of it. Let's just, let me ungroup this. Let me delete like 2 of them. And then we can do like so. That was 2. Interesting. So now we bring our grid back and then we would align stuff like so. And then we can say login, right? So it goes, so enter your credentials. From where you ended. All right. So we want to increase the spacing between this. So let's say, let's go like 24. Yeah. Let's change the background color. That's not working. Ooh. Okay. You got it. All right. So I went ahead to create the colors for this. Basically, I was using what these people use. What's their name? The application comes. Tailwind. So Tailwind has like a very good. They've created like different colors. So I'm using the Tailwind one, so you can just access it. So once you go to the Tailwind site, you can get this color palette. I think they even have. Tailwind even has what's the word? They have a Figma community file that you can access. I don't know. This I did it. I created it myself from, like, I basically like just collected the information from Tailwind sites and then created this myself. But you can access all of this on their websites. Yeah. So now creating the input field, right? The input field, we need to use something like lighter. So let's say so, and then increase this to 500. All right. So yeah, now this is there, and then we set the padding on the left to 16. Maybe leave this on this and like enter your email address. Yeah, let's make this regular because this is like how you call it? This is the placeholder text. I think maybe we can even make it lighter. I don't know. Yeah, and then set maybe a stroke color to something that's slightly deeper than the background that we have. Yeah. Let me see what I can go further. Yes. So now what we'll do is we'll create this as we'll make this a component. All right. So when we make this a component, that means when we make any changes to this particular one, it would affect all of this. So now we'll copy the component and paste the component in here. All right. So now what we want to do now is create variants, right? Wait, how the hell do you use these new updates? Okay, yeah, we'll create a variant of this. So we press this and then we create a variant of that, right? Oh, Jesus. And please draw my attention if you do not understand anything. So a variant is basically, it's like one component and then there are different versions of that particular thing. So you can call, so like once you create one and then you create another one, you can just say, okay, change this to this variant of, a variant is something that's related to one thing, right? So create, so like, so right now, and what the variant I'm trying to create is the password variant, right? So the password will have like the masking and then the unmasking symbol right here. So you cannot do that to the main, so you'd have to do it to the variant. So we just say maybe enter the password. All right, and then the icons we are using, we'll be using icons from the Google Material icons. They have a plugin. Unfortunately, I think this icon pack is available in Iconify, but if using the Google Material symbols icons plugin itself is very good because you can actually change the weight, the fill, the to whether to round, so you can, whether you can choose to make the icons outlined, rounded, or sharp, like whatever you want to do to the icon, you can actually make that. You can do that to the icon. So now we just search the eye, and then we just tap that to bring that in here. Then we just copy that and then paste that in here. All right. So now we would, because this is a how you call it. This is a layout. We want to change this to space between. So if you make a space between, automatically it brings space between them. And then we will set the color to something that's similar to the color palettes that we have. All right, yeah. So now we can just, so instead of actually dragging this, I'm trying to do this to interpret, to like demonstrate how variants work. So now this is here, right? Let me rename this and call it, let me call this password. Right. So now I duplicated this one. So let me do that again. Duplicated this one by holding Alt and then dragging. So I duplicated this one. I can just come here, default, and then choose password, and then automatically changes it over here. So in at every point where I create a password, I can just change it. Right. Now, if I'm to make any changes to this particular one, say maybe I want to make this like that, I can just click on this, and then push changes to me. So when I push the changes to me, whatever change I made over here it updates what is here. Under normal circumstances, it's supposed to be whatever change I make over here that comes here. But if I came to make the change over here, I can push the change and then make it go here. All right. So yeah, that is about variants. I guess we would need to put a back button over here. I always forget that thing. I don't know. So now back, we can just click on this. Okay, now we want rounded icons, so we'll change this to rounded and then click back. All right. So now we can actually bring this over here. Let me make the this darker. All right. So, and then maybe make this a component, auto layout, and then set this to 12, and then that's to 12 as well. Oh, Jesus, 12. All right. So now we'll change the color to something that's similar, so something lighter for the background, and make it rounded. And yeah, so this is not in here, so we'll bring it back in here. All right. Now, you've noticed that for everything I was doing, I'm pushing everything to the bottom of the screen, but for this particular one, I've pushed this to the top of the screen. Wait, let me just put this here instead. So, you actually save like vertical space. So now let's set this to that. All right, so now we can do login. All right, so since this is a login page, we need forgot password. We wouldn't do the flow for that, but forgot password. Yeah, and then maybe do this like slide ticker, and then okay now. So now we want to check the vertical rhythm between these, right? So I'm gonna set to 16. Yeah, that works sure. So I was mentioning that for everything, you notice everything is at the bottom of the screen. Then for this one, we just push everything to the top. Why not put this at the bottom? Well, it's because when you come here, we would make this enter email address automatic. So like it's like, what is it even called? Is it auto active or something? So every time the keyboard would cover this section. So we can even come here and then get the iOS keyboard assets and then put that there. So like you understand how it would work. Where's the keyboard? Yeah. So we can just go back and then fill that with the keyboard asset. So we will just center this and then push this to the bottom. So now it's making more sense, right? All right. So now we have these for the onboarding. Basically, the sign up will basically be the same thing, and then collecting of the user information will basically be the same thing. So like, let's jump into actually the home screen, and then like we try to cover as much ground as possible. All right. So I'll just duplicate this. I'll go ahead to duplicate this. And then we'll jump into working on the home screen. So if you joined us in the past, you noticed that when we were doing the wireframes, we were supposed to have a session last week, but we didn't have the session, unfortunately. And so if you joined last week, we were supposed to continue the listing session last week, but we didn't do it. I've gone ahead to create the wireframe on paper for the I'm gonna have to create a wireframe on paper for the home screen. All right, so this is it right here. I'm not sure if it's clear, but yeah. So I'm basically trying to replicate what we have on paper right here. In Figma basically. So I think what I should do is I should just take a picture of it with my phone, airdrop it to my laptop, and then share that. All right. So yeah, let me take a picture of it now. Where is this thing? Camera. All right. It's not detailed. I don't think it's even relevant to share a picture of it because it's not detailed. It's something that I'm the only person who would understand. So yeah, let's just jump into it. As the application's problem statement suggests, let me copy the problem statement here. So like, if you've not joined us, you have like the problem that you're trying to solve in mind, because sometimes when you're designing an application, you might forget what the problem is, and then it might lead you to go astray, right? So you want to have like the end goal in mind. So if you've joined us in the past, we've talked about how to actually like keep the end goal in mind. So again, this is the problem that we are trying to solve. Kofi is a small business owner who needs a system to track and remind clients of impending debt payment deadlines, because clients sometimes forget to make payments on time. This is the problem statement that we have. All right. So this is just a refresher, so you have what we are trying to build in mind. All right. So yeah, now the homepage. What goes on the homepage? All right. That is like, so the homepage is supposed to be like a summary of, unlike an application like Instagram where their primary focus is to send you content. The homepage is the content. But for something like this, the homepage is supposed to be something somewhat like a dashboard. But we small business owners, sometimes the reason why we are designing a mobile application, and then the thought process is the reason why we chose to design a mobile application and not a desktop application is small business owners might not even have computers, especially in the part of the world that myself I'm in. So I'm in Ghana, and not a lot of people are literate enough to use a computer, right? And then majority of the people in Africa are very conversant with using mobile devices. Right. So that is why we chose to design a mobile application and then not a desktop application. So there's even a desktop application called Zoho Books or something that does something similar to this. All right. So yeah, going into it. All right. From the wireframes that we have, yeah. So the wireframe. So again, you want to personalize the person's experience. So the personalization will start with like maybe a hi Richmond. No, let me find somebody in the calls. Okay, let me see. Okay, I think let's use Fatima. Fatima. All right. Yeah, Fatima. All right. Okay, so hi Fatima. Good. And then we'll for another thing for the personalization again. You want to put like an image of an avatar of the person over there. So let's bring our back. Let me delete everything over here so we are not distracted. All right. So now we want to add an avatar. Right? Again, if you notice, when I'm building something, when I'm building like a component or an element to something for the design, I build it, and then like you build it. So there's something called atomizing, right? Atomizing is basically taking the least thing and then building it and then bringing everything together to form what you're trying to build, right? So that is how even cars are constructed. Different parts, different companies build different parts. For a Toyota, for instance, there are parts like from different parts of the world. There are ties from different parts of the world that are built in atomicity and then brought together. So we try to replicate that idea, atomizing basically. All right, let me close this thing. All right, so we're trying to okay. So hi Fatima, and then we might want to maybe have a greeting. All right, so top of the morning to you. Again, the reason why I'm not very good with copywriting. I've already mentioned this, but if this was an application, I would want it to feel friendly, right? And so, Jesus, the kids in my house are making noise. Oh my god! 1 second, guys, please. 1 second. I don't want that. Me add. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. All right. So right now what we're trying to do is we're trying to share have like a greeting, or this kid's dreaming of. So we're trying to greet the person, basically like personalizing the experience for the user, basically. So saying something like good morning or something. So top of the morning to you. Yeah, so there's that over here, and then let's set this to like 14 instead. All right. And then we'll want to say, okay, for this 24 is 24. Okay, let's set this to 12 as well. The reason why I set this and this to the equal values to make it easy for, so like say if in the development process, when I tell the person the line height is say the spacing between these two is maybe 4 pixels, and so you do not want to confuse the person with, because when the line height is higher, every line height is actually a pixel. So if you're for stuff like this that are one-liners, you want to set the line height and then to the same size as the font size, so that everything is straight. Like you don't get extra, maybe 1 pixel, 2 pixel at the top or the bottom. Right? Because again, your designs are just in Figma. Somebody will need to code them, and so you need to make sure that if the design is precise, then they can actually precisely build it in like whatever building platform they'll be using, whether it's Flutter or Swift or Android or whatever. Right. So now we set this to that, and then maybe increase this to like 4 pixels, and then we would set this as a component as well, and then 8 pixels on the side. Right. Okay. So now we've built this again. Majority of the time, you would maybe want to build a prototype. How do you call it? A wireframe first. But I've been doing this for a while now, and then like for the time constraints, I don't want to do that. All right. So we'll set an image for this person, or not this. So there's another plugin called Content Rail. It's actually made by Microsoft. It's actually very good. You can get people's names, like in case when you're building an application, when you're designing something, names can be like very difficult to think of. So with this, you do not have to think about names. You do not have to think about avatar images. Everything is there, so you can. Let me open the plugin again. So like over here, you can get dates, names, lorem ipsum text, dates, addresses, phone numbers, amounts, currencies, like images of females, males, like everything is there. They even have the Fluent icon pack over here. That's Microsoft's icon pack. That's the same here as well. So like, it's like a very cool tool that I use a majority of the time. So yeah, there's that, and then now we would want to add maybe a notification icon over here, right? So we'll come down to material symbols. All right, and then we'll change this to round, and then type in notification over here. All right, let me see. So I want to use this one. So just click on it once, and I can drag that in here. All right. So yeah, we basically have the top parts done. Yeah, we basically have this done. So now, what next? Again, let's go back to the problem statement. So we are sure of what you're building, right? He wants to it's a small business with system to track and remind clients of impending debt payments. So that means majority of the time his problems is how much are people owing me and how much do I have in my hand, right? And like how much have they paid? So how much? So like his majority of the time that's business people. How much money do we have and how much money do we have out there? Now he doesn't owe people. People owe him. All right. So we would want to make the most important information on the platform the amount of money that he has received and the amount of money that he's yet to receive. All right. So now we can create, say maybe I'll use dollars because dollars is the only currency symbol I can find on my keyboard. All right. So say how much? And he has received maybe $23,000, $23,450 12 cents. All right. And then say do that to that. Yeah. Okay. This looks fine. And then we'll need to have a text describing what this amount of money is, because so amounts received. Please, if you do not understand anything, please draw my attention to it. Like, don't feel shy. I mean, nobody's even seeing you, so like, nobody's. I don't think anybody. I mean, we are all learning together. So if you do not understand anything, please draw my attention. So again, the colors that we are using, they are the Tailwind color palettes. I didn't want to create a new one. I sometimes use the Tailwind one because it's actually very well made. There's people above that, people ahead of me who created those the Tailwind pack. I use a book designed by this book. There's this book, Refactoring UI. Funny enough, that book is made by the people who designed Tailwind. So like, if the book I call UI Bible is made by the people who built the platform, why am I not to use it, right? So yeah, I used the Tailwind icon pack a lot. And if you are starting out, I advise you try to use as many assets that have been built by people as possible. Like, try to create your own, but like don't try to invent anything. If you get to the top, you will invent it. Until then, please steal people's ideas. Like, car companies steal ideas all the time. I mean, look at how different is a Mercedes Benz from a Toyota Camry, aside from the interior. Like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's set this color to something that is like so. Let me see here. Yeah, that works. And then maybe add a stroke to it. Again, please, I'm doing this. Trust me, I've already designed this thing already, and it's not something that is not a straight science. Like, if I was doing this like completely new, I practiced the session before we are having it, so like things can go smoothly. So if you are not able to design as quickly as I am doing, know that I've already tried to design this. If you check the mood board, I've actually built some of this already, and then I've already done some research on UI. So don't feel maybe left out if you feel like I am moving fast, because I was here stealing ideas. So if you I think if you check my browser history rather, you see I entered financial applications and I was looking at how people are building them, just so like because when you're building something, you want to be in like, you don't want to be completely different, but you want to stand out. You want to stand out, but you don't want to be completely different. That way you become the weirdo, and nobody wants to be the weirdo. So yeah, know the industry you are designing for, and then try to make your design fit into that industry. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So let's just drop this a little bit, and then we like amount code. Please note that the proper research has not been done about this. All the research you've done is basically through the course. I'll try as much as possible not to do anything outside of the sessions that we have, so like nothing is new to anybody who is constantly following. All right. So now maybe we want to add a title to this and say something like account summary. All right. And then we'll put that over here, and that will be about 16 pixels. Bold is too bold. All right. All right. So the other thing we want to do is because this values might keep changing, you might want to include something like something to tell, like, okay, maybe this is the amount received for this week or for this month or something like that. So let's say this week. So this week will be the shortest possible time that you can do account amounts received, right? So yeah, we'll make this a auto layouts, and then we would call out this thing and say down, the material symbols to get the down symbol. Now we change to rounded, so we can get the rounded icon, and then we can just pull this, right? Now we'll cut that and then paste that in here. Then we would align straight. So we align center alignment straight, right? So that everything is in the middle. Now this is way too big. So I don't know whether you remember why I mentioned that per the Apple user interface guideline, button sizes should be 48 pixels. This is a situation where if it's 48 pixels, it might look out of place. Now we can do 48 pixels, but me personally, I don't want to do 48 pixels. I want to do 32. So yeah, I'll do 32. So yeah. So now we can put that here and then add like border radius to it, and then say 8 pixel border radius, and then the color we're using is too light, so yeah. Alright, so now we'll center that and then set this to that, and then space between. Alright. Now I think this is too light. So, alright. All right. So now what next? Right. So now we need to find a relationship between the amount received and then the amount owed, and we need to make that look visual, right? So how do we do that? You need to draw a graph, because a graph compares data between two things. So we can either use a graph or how you call it? We can use a graph or a pie chart. But knowing that the data is continuous, that means we can use a pie chart. All right, so we use a graph. Again, this is just off the top of my head. No proper research has gone into it. If proper research goes into it, maybe we might find out a scatter diagram is a better alternative for doing this. But just trying to build something, a product that works. And so, yeah, I don't feel like doing the graph. So I'll just come and copy what I already built over here. Let me use this one. All right. Again, this is to prove to you that I'm not designing anything fresh. I've already built them, and then like for the purpose of the design session, because I know if you want to build it on the fly, it will take so much time. How many? Oh, we've already spent an hour. We spent an hour. Okay, so yeah. So now that we have the graph over here, the graph will compare maybe the amount received within the day. There's no proper logic behind it, so let's just assume that it's actually serving its purpose. So the next thing we want to do is see the people who are owing us, like how close they are to their debt payments, right? So like upcoming debt payments. All right, so now the debt payments were identified by the people who owe them, right? So we would say how you call it? We would have a card to represent the debt payment, basically, right? Okay, so now we have the card. We want to use an avatar to represent each person who owes the debt, right? So all right, so now avatar to represent who owes. Okay, so now let's make this a cycle and call this and say accounts, right? And then we can have this person. Right. Oh shit. Let's make this a rounded letter. Okay. For consistency's sake, alright? So now we would change that to that and then make this a lighter version of, so a darker version of the background. Okay, so darker. Alright. So now we can align this center. Alright. Yeah, so cut that out and paste that back in. Alright, so now we can say, okay, who's owing us? Who owes anybody? Let me see. Okay, wait, Amber Heard who owes Johnny Depp, right? I hope that's how to spell her name over here. So Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp. And then now what we would want to do is we want to say, maybe if the name is longer than the space over here, the name should like be scrolling like a carousel. Like you see the way at the bottom of a TV station, like CNN and stuff like that, the way the name goes. We can say that, and then the developers can actually do that. You can't do that in Figma, so yeah. We'll just have to include that in the notes we give to the developer, basically. All right, so yeah, and then we'll say we'll need to include the time, the date in which they're supposed to make the payments. So we can come to, I don't know, whenever it comes to actually thinking about the date to use, it becomes so hard for me. I don't know why. So I always come in and then choose a date. It's always easier this way for me. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's laziness. I don't know what it is. But yeah, that is my situation. So yeah, there's that. I don't know whether 8 is too small, but we'll see. All right, and then the amount that needs to be paid. So say how much? $50 million, right? That's how much Amaherd needs to pay. 15 million. 15 million. Yeah. So I think this is a more important. Wait, which is more important? Hierarchy wise. Guys, hierarchy wise, which is more important? The person who owes or the amount they owe. Hello?
I guess it's the amount.
The amount, okay. So I guess, yeah, this needs to go down. Okay. This is still drawing too much attention to itself. So, yes. So if you pay attention to how I'm actually doing it, I'm thinking about hierarchy. What is more important? Like that kind of thing. So, like, because an application, the person needs to get the information as quickly as possible. If you've done graphic design before, there's something called like the hierarchy principle, basically. The quicker somebody can read the graphic design or something and get the information out as quickly as possible. That's like the aim of graphic design, visual communication, quick information grasping, right? With interface design, well, it's not the same, but you want the users to find the information that is relevant to them as quickly as possible, right? So that is where the testing comes in, because you do not own a business, and so you might not know what goes into actually owning a business. So until you've tested, you don't know. You cannot make everything we are doing is basically an assumption, right? So now we'll just duplicate this for how many people owe us, basically, right? So let's just find. So now you can. Now I have no idea how we'll get the people who owe us their images into the application, but let's put it in there because why, it looks cool. Okay, so all these people are debtors. You guys don't pay. Oh man. Okay, so let's get to names. Text. Names, full name. Okay, so Dali, your name is way too long. Okay. Okay, so we are centering this. And then we are align center. Align center. Where will we get an image of Amberhead? Okay, so yeah, I think that works. Maybe we use the that date is way too old. Let's make this 2022. The date is way too old. June 4th. Nah, should we do September? Nah, September is way too difficult to type. July 15, 2022. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think this is actually coming out good. Okay, yeah, my bad. This one. Okay. So I wish we can actually fix this thing. So so this would something we would have to do with the developers, but yeah, we can say the name is disappearing, right? So this simply means the name is actually scrolling, and then like, yeah, we can actually choose to do this like so as well, a linear, and then change the direction to this. Basically, it's like the name is disappearing and be like, yeah, you know. All right. Oh, we need to flip this. Okay. Yeah, I think you catch it. You catch the hint. Yeah. All right. So now, wait. Let me take this thing out. First. All right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So now the bottom navigation, right? What comes here? So now again, we want to, because that thing is actually not controlled by the person who actually builds the system. iOS actually controls that. So we will come to the assets again, and then come and take what's been built over here. Where is it? Here. So I think we also want to use the 5 label one. So yeah, we'll come here and then we'll start here. Now this is a component, and then we will want to detach the component. So like so, and then I've already built this. Doing this is quite annoying, so I just pulled this from what I built over here, and then we'll paste that here. So all we did basically is this, and then we just changed it. So you see that I haven't even changed the name over here yet. So it's basically this, just change the icons, replace the icons with the icons that we want to use. That's what we did basically. So now we'll go ahead to actually enter the actual names we want to use. So home, this will be wait, what do we have over here? I don't quite remember. Invoices. Invoices. All time. Invoices. Oh shit, my bad. This thing is really annoying. Reports. Customers. Settings. All right. Yeah, this should be lighter. Yeah. This is not, it's not the best looking application, but I mean, for the time that how quickly we are trying to build it. Yeah. So let's say this. Oh shit, my bad. Okay, U Control G, and then we want to use the space in between this, like this. All right. So what do we want to do? Now we want to make, say, something like C all. C all, we want to reduce this to 12, make this that, and then so now we want to call, not this one, material symbols, and then say arrow, because we want to like basically get in more details basically, right? So yeah. So yeah. Maybe we want to add some dimension over here. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. And then the next thing we want to do now is if somebody clicks like a point on the graph, they want to see the information that is presented over there, right? Yeah, let's need to end the session. It's becoming too lengthy. Let's add a stroke to this one and make it white. Now, how do we make this more interesting? We would add a drop shadow to it, so it makes it look like it's floating. Right, and then we can create a rectangle that basically explains what information goes in there. So we can have something like, oh my bad, no, there's nothing to, oh shit. Okay, all right. So now we can have this over here and say this amount of money was paid or something, right? And this amount of money was paid on this day. So let me just copy a date from here. I really hate typing dates. All right. So yeah, we can have this like so. I don't know. I feel like the orange is too strong, so I'd want to change this to that. Make this that. Let's add a stroke to this, and then add like some drop shadow to it to give it elevation. Because I mean that is what drop shadows are for. So yeah. Should we take this away? Yeah, let's take that away. Okay. So yeah, this is what we have. I think I overshot. I was overthinking. I was thinking we could actually complete this today, but I don't think we can. So I guess maybe we would have to do next week, or I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I think we should end it right here because it's been over an hour. It's an hour and 20 minutes. I can't pay attention for that long, so I don't expect you to. So I think we should end it right here. I guess we'll have to continue some other time, I guess. Yeah. So guys, this is what we have. Let me share the link to the YouTube so you can just check it out. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can go ahead to ask me. I don't readily have this thing. Please, are there any questions? Thank you, Fatima. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. Please, are there any questions? If okay, I think someone was asking for how you call it, the link to the group. Let me get that. Yeah. copy link, invite. All right. Yeah. So you can once you have access to the link, I'm in the group. So once you can ask any questions, I can either answer. And then funny enough, the group has like really cool people in there. You might not know them, but they're like very high level designers in there. My own mentor is actually in the group, so you can just join the group. Basically, if I'm not available, other people are in the position to answer any questions that you want, or like review anything that you want them to review. All right. So if there are no questions, I'm tired myself, so we would call it a night and then continue some other time. All right. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Bye bye.